Hey guys, how's everybody doing tonight? It's getting late, so let's get to this here. Let's get rid of this music here. Let's see if I can still remember how to do this. It's been a minute, guys. So, like I said, it's getting late. Kind of give an update on what's been going on with me lately. Um, just been all over the kind of the country, working several different jobs, and we're gonna have some new viewers coming in on this channel for this video, and I'm gonna explain here in a second why I'm making this video. But for some of the new viewers that are going to be coming in, let me give you a little background on me. So, over the past uh, decade or so, I've spent most of my time working in juvenile corrections in Iowa, Illinois, Nebraska, and Oklahoma. Mostly as a juvenile detention officer. I've also worked in adult corrections as well. Was also a juvenile probation officer in Nebraska and a juvenile case manager for court services down in Oklahoma. Um, to tell, to tell you how busy I've been, I'm actually working on my master's right now while working full time. And I just finished my cybersecurity certification that I'm looking to make a transition from working in corrections into cybersecurity. So I've just been absolutely slammed. Haven't been wanting to make this video, but I've just really been getting hounded by people, and not in a bad way, but people wanting to really know my opinion on this case because it's where I grew up in Keokuk, Iowa, and it involves a detention center that I used to work at when I first started cutting my teeth in juvenile corrections. It's a pretty heinous case if everything that the media is reporting is true, and I have no reason to believe it's not. Also, I don't have um, I don't have any sources. I don't have any other knowledge than what is just in the media. In full disclosure, like I said, I used to work at this detention center. It's one of the first. It's actually the first detention center that I worked at in juvenile corrections, and also in full disclosure, I know Mark Young. I believe he was 2 grades ahead of me while growing up in high school. I went to Keokuk High School. He went to Central Lee High School, and we hung out here and there, but nothing very serious as far as any close personal relationship. He's never been bad to me. There's no ill feelings outside of this. And his I know his parents are wonderful people, and his siblings are too. So none of this is personal. It's just this is a case that's a big case that's not getting any traction in the media. And we'll go over it here in a second, but I'm going to try to be as delicate as I can with this topic. But it's heinous, and there's just sometimes there's no way around it. It's going to be gross. Probably not going to want to have kids around. We're going to try to stay. I'm trying not to get too crazy with the language or anything, but I this does get me fired up because I've spent, like I said, most of the last decade working in juvenile corrections. It's a tough job. It's a thankless job, and it's stuff like this really set you back. A lot of people out there believe that there shouldn't be juvenile detention centers, even though juveniles absolutely commit the same kind of heinous crimes as adults do. It's still a very, very dangerous job too, as well. I've been severely injured in juvenile detention centers. I had to have shoulder reconstruction surgery actually at this from an incident at this juvenile detention center after I had raised major safety concerns about understaffing and the things that we were doing. We'll get in more into that later, but I may not get into that too much. There's going to definitely be follow up videos on this. I'm going to follow this case. And so this is a lot of the reason why people have just been blowing me up lately saying, hey, can you do a video on this? Can you let us know what's going on with it? I can't tell you much outside of the court records or what's in the media, but I'll give some initial thoughts on it. So here is our guy. See if I can still remember how to do this, people. Here's a guy, Mark Young. Yeah, it's not good. So in December, he was arrested for allegedly um, sexually assaulting a 16-year-old juvenile female that was in custody. Again, that's allegedly. I'm going what's off of the media. But if everything that the media is saying is true, it's not a question of if he did it. It's just he did it. I mean, if everything is if they're what they're saying is true, it is. And one of the things before we get into the story, there's one thing that there's some misinformation out there that I really want to set straight, and I hope everybody stays till the end of this video. I'm going to try to get through this as quick as possible, but there's just some things I really want to touch on. One of the misinformation that I've seen a lot about social media is that the Lee County Sheriff's Department did the investigation, and so it was a conflict of interest because the Lee County Sheriff's Department runs. Um, Everybody calls it Lee County Detention, but it's not. It's South Iowa Area Detention Service Agency. No, I've been guilty of it before because if you say SIADSA or South Iowa Area Detention Service Agency, no one's going to know what the hell you're talking about. But if you say it's the Lee County Juvenile Detention Center, everybody knows what that you're talking about because it's the Juvenile Detention Center in Lee County, where Keokuk, Iowa is. But it's not actually Lee County Detention. It's South Iowa Area Crime Detention Service Agency, and I'll just bring it up here. Um, that's a Iowa Area Detention Service Agency. It's a small juvenile detention center. If I remember correctly, I think maximum occupants is somewhere around 20, if I remember correctly, and which is crazy about the story because since I used to work there, I know exactly how the layout is. I know the staffing and I know how small of a detention center it is. So if everything that they're saying is true in the media, it's impossible for this stuff to have happened without anybody knowing it. Um, South Iowa Area Detention Service Agency again is not run by the. Okay, there we go. Well, I'm showing we're back. Okay, they are actually run by. Let me pull this up here for you. Uh, it's the South Iowa Area Crime Commission, based out of Fairfield, Iowa. Here you can see in their about them section in 1991 they opened up two juvenile centers, one in Marion, Iowa, one in Montrose. Montrose is the one in question here. The one out in Marion is not in service anymore, so they only operate this one juvenile detention center. So it has no affiliation with Lee County Juvenile Detention or with the Lee County Sheriff's Department. And I'll show you here. I think one of the misconceptions is here's an overhead map of it here. Let me take that away here. So as you can see here, this gray, if you can see where my cursor is, that's the Lee County Sheriff's Department. Here with the more red or brown roof, that's the Juvenile Detention Center. Here, if you can see here, here's the front parking lot where my cursor is, where employees would typically park. The front entrance there. Here, the shorter wing here, where my cursor is, that's going to be the female wing. Over here is going to be your male wing. Here, back here is going to be a second day room and your classroom. And then back here is going to be your gymnasium. Outside here is going to be your exterior basketball court. So that's kind of the rough layout. I'm not going to get into any more details about the layout of the juvenile detention center, obviously because of security reasoning. I don't want to give anybody any kind of inside knowledge outside of kind of just the basic layout of the juvenile detention center. But I think a lot of people think just because it's next to the sheriff's department and the jail there, that they're somehow affiliated with each other. They are not. So just to you know, set the record straight there. I know a lot of people online have been up in arms since the sheriff's department did the investigation into this, that somehow was a conflict of interest. It is not. So let's go ahead and get into it. Let's get into the dirty details. I'm just going to go ahead and read right from this article. That way, I'm not ad-libbing it. This is straight from the horse's mouth. This is actually from the Fort Madison Daily Democrat. It's the same ownership as the Daily Gate City newspaper in Keokuk. They're owned by the same company. This says it was written by Brad Vidmar, and this was December 29th of this last year, so just a couple months ago. Um, and one of the biggest frustrations that everybody has is, well, this blew up in the media, the day or two after he was arrested. But since then, there's been nothing. The media has completely lost interest in this. They're not covering it at all. They're not giving any updates to the community. He's out and about in the community. Evidently, I got messages actually today from multiple people saying that he was on the campus of Keokuk, Iowa, the Southeastern Community College campus, and not only do you have young females there, but you also have young females that are in high school. So there's a program with the local high schools here to where they can take college courses when they're, 16, 17 years old. They can leave the high school campuses and go to the Keokuk campus of Southeastern Community Colleges to take courses. So a lot of people have a lot of concern that if this is true, what's in the media, what he's accused of, and again, I say if it's true, then he shouldn't be on a college campus right now until at least this is resolved. So let's get into it. A former juvenile detention officer was recently arrested after police say he took nude photos, groped, and kissed a 16-year-old girl being held at the center after promising to pay bail to bail her out of the jail. Mark Young, 49, Keokuk, was arrested by the Lee County Sheriff's Office on December 19th and charged with sexual misconduct with an offender, which is an aggravated misdemeanor. I'll pull up the court filing online with the Iowa online courts here in a second. On October 29th, a Lee County Sheriff's deputy was called to the South Iowa Area Juvenile Detention Center located in Montrose due to an internal investigation and possible criminal matter involving an employee, according to a criminal complaint. The detention center's director reported that Young, a detention officer, had engaged in inappropriate conduct with a 16-year-old juvenile detainee, which included spending a concerning amount of time talking to the juvenile at her room and flashing a large sum of money in front of other staff members on October 28th, the complaint states. So this is going on for months, right? October, November, December. So you're looking at least 2 months of really questionable stuff going on, which raises even more questions at this point. Young was also accused of opening a hallway bathroom door, which obstructed the camera view of the juvenile's room while he spoke to her. If you know the layout, you know exactly what they're talking about. On, like I pointed out, that female wing to the left, you have your control room to the left is the female wing. Well, there's that very first room that if you open up the shower bathroom door, you can actually obscure the camera view of that first room if you would have that first cell door open. And I'm assuming that's probably where she was, and he was obscuring that camera view. But again, this would all they would have recordings of all this. So this is why I'm thinking that, I mean, these are very, very pinpointed accusations that I don't think if they didn't have the goods and could prove this, I don't think they would be printing of this. But we've seen the media manipulate stuff before, so I'll keep an open mind about it. But at this point, I'm leaning towards that. I'm thinking that he's done what he's accused in this case, and because you'll see here in a second. Um, in May, Young received a written reprimand due to accusations that he had inappropriate conversations with other female juvenile detainees, which included talking about his gambling, drinking alcohol, his sex life, hanging out with juvenile females when they turned 18, and showing them how much money he carried in his wallet, according to the complaint. Now that's in May. Okay. So my question is here, from May till October, if he's doing that, he's talking about his gambling, his drinking, his sex life, and talking about hanging out with female juveniles when they get released. Um, why is he still a detention officer at this point? At this point, you would have every right to fire him to fire him with cause. That's absolutely unacceptable behavior. You can't do that. But they kept him on, obviously. Young was also ordered not to be around female juveniles during his shifts and instructed to wear a body camera and have it activated at all times with no exceptions, the complaint states. So, but whatever. It's ridiculous. The case was forwarded to the Criminal Investigation Division for follow-up. Numerous reports were then forwarded to the Lee County Criminal Investigation Division from detention center employees and the director. The reports from coworkers indicated Young had a special interest in one female juvenile, spent a lot of his shift talking to her, and was warned by one coworker worker to quote, be careful, unquote, according to the complaint. Again, red freaking flag. Why is he still there? Why is he a juvenile detention officer at this point? From what I understand, and this is kind of hearsay from somebody that used to work there that doesn't work there, but from what I understand, he was an on-call officer. He wasn't a full-time officer. He was a part-time on-call officer, but even part-time on-call officers, because of staff shortages, they can still be working 40 plus hours a week, but they just get paid at that part-time wage. Oh, this is infuriating. Hours of surveillance video of Young's last three shifts on October 25th, October 26th, and October 28th through 29th were also forwarded to investigators, the complaint states. One detective learned that Young had made arrangements to bond out the 16-year-old girl and asked the girl to, quote, flash her breasts, unquote, for him on his October 26th shift, according to the complaint. Police say the girl was interviewed and stated that, quote, Young told her that he would help her, but she needed to do something for him, unquote, and that the girl, quote, complied by flashing Young, unquote. It gets worse. Investigators say that the girl reported that Young touched her breast and took a picture with his phone. Police say Young also brought contraband into the detention center for the girl, which consisted of fast food, candy and snacks, and energy drinks. Okay, pause there for a second. I know this detention center like the back of my hand. I know how it runs. I know how small it is. It is impossible to be sneaky. Come back here. Here we're back. Um, Young also stated he would bond the girl out and they could hang out at the Riverside Casino. I think they mean Riverbend Casino up in Burlington, but maybe it is Riverside. I don't know. I'm not a gambler. I'm not a casino guy, so maybe there is a Riverside casino somewhere. I think they probably mean Riverbend Casino up in Burlington, but I could be wrong. The girl also told investigators that Young showed her a large sum of money to prove he could bond her out during his shift on October 28th through 29th, according to the complaint. After numerous interviews, investigators learned that Young had contacted the girl's mother by attempting to call her and sending her text messages advising that he was, quote, the person helping to bond her daughter out, unquote, the complaint states. The girl's mother also confirmed to investigators that Young had contacted her, and she provided police with screenshots of text messages from Young, which stated, "Hey, this is the guy helping bond your daughter. Can I call you tomorrow or Tuesday? And hey, I got your daughter's bail money. Where do you want to meet?" According to the complaint. The girl's mother stated that her daughter had called her and informed her that a detention center employee would be contacting her to bond her out, and added that she was informed by the detention center's director that her daughter had reported that she, quote, flashed her breasts for Young and that Young had taken a photograph. During a follow up interview with the girl, she told investigators that on October 26th, Young had asked her to flash him with a naked body part every time he walked into a room. Again, every time he walked into a room, which was numerous times during his shift. The girl told investigators that Young had asked to, quote, this is where it gets bad, even worse, as if it wasn't bad already. This gets worse. Asked to, quote, digitally penetrate and kiss her, which she said Young did through an opening of the cell, and asked her to, quote, write him a graphic letter of what they would do together when she was out, unquote, which the girl told police she also did, according to a search warrant application. The girl also told investigators that Young spoke in providing her with vape pens inside the detention center and would walk her to the shower area and would hand her a towel while she was completely nude. The search warrant application states. Just keeps getting worse and worse. And to be doing all this, it would have been impossible for other staff members not to be seeing this, to be aware of what's going on. It's it's just I'll get into it here. Uh, let's see. The girl later told investigators that she was upset with Young because she did what she was supposed to do and Young did not. The complaint states, well, yeah, he said that if she did, he allowed her to do all this stuff. He was manipulating her, that he would bond her out. And so she was ticked off that, with this nasty guy, she had to do all this stuff. And um, he didn't carry out his part of the bargain to bail her out. Not saying it's just, this is just gross. Oh, jeez. But the complaint notes that the girl was unaware that her mother had declined Young's offer to help bond her out. Two search warrants were executed on two of Young's phones. Young's cell phone was forensically examined, which was successful in documenting the calls and text messages that he had made to the girl's mother, according to the complaint. So they have, according to this, that they were his phone was forensically examined, and the calls and text messages that he made to the mother's girl were on his phone. Surveillance video also was reviewed, and a timeline was established concerning the frequency and duration of the time Young spent talking to the girl at her room with the door open. On two room checks that took place on October 26th, Young could be seen on his cell phone in his hand and seemingly activated. So they probably saw the glow off the phone onto his face or whatever it is, or maybe a flash from, when it takes a picture or something like that. Young could also be seen talking on his cell phone while standing, excuse me, talking on his cell phone while standing outside the girl's room before opening the door with his cell phone appearing to be activated, the complaint states. Maybe I just read that. Invest Investigators believe that the video shows Young capturing video or a photo of the girl. Throughout the course of Young's October 26th shift, surveillance video footage also shows Young's arms entering the room several times by crossing the door frame and threshold. Gross. A warrant for Young's arrest was issued on December 18th. Young was released the day of his arrest after posting a $10,000 cash only bond. Court documents indicate Young is no longer employed at the detention center. In a press release issued on December 30th announcing the investigation into the issue and Young's arrest, Lee County Sheriff Elliot Vandenberg clarified that the South Iowa Area Detention Service Agency is not overseen by the Lee County Sheriff's Office. So there you go. They also reiterated that SIADSA is not part has it's not overseen by the Lee County Sheriff's Department. There's no affiliation there. Um, Young's next court date was not available as of Monday afternoon, which brings me up to my next point. So we're going to go. So now we know the details here. So they have the video surveillance footage of her repeatedly, putting his arms into her room. Everything just matches up with what this girl is accusing him of, and the mother as well. They have the text messages and the phone call records. They see him using his phone to activate videos or pictures. I don't see this case as these are very specific allegations and evidence that they're saying is out there. If the media is wrong on this and they don't have this, uh, then these media organizations should be torn down block by block. But I don't think that's the case. I think they have this right. I think that the law enforcement does have this information. I think they do have this evidence, and I don't think it's a matter of if he did, but I do think he did it. That's my opinion based off the information I have. Is there other information that could come out at some point that would make me believe otherwise? Sure, absolutely. I can always change my opinion based on new information. So we're going to take a look here real quick at his court record here. As you can see here, he's charged with sexual misconduct with an offense date of October 25th, 2025, aggravated misdemeanor, which blows my mind. An aggravated misdemeanor here, as he's charged with, has a maximum of up to 2 years in prison, which means he'll probably only serve maybe half that if he's convicted. But I'm sure it's probably not even going to go to trial. Probably end up taking a plea agreement. I don't know. I don't know. With his personality, I do know his personality. He might very well go to trial if it's not dropped. I don't know. It's gross. It's disgusting, and Here's what I wanted to say about Syedsa. Um, just a second here. Just one moment. Here's what I'll say about South Iowa Area Detention Service Agency. I know who the administrator is. She's a wonderful lady. Her husband was the administrator there for a long time while I worked there. Wonderful man. One of the greatest guys I know. And none of this is personal, but this, especially at a juvenile detention center that small, with everything that alleged to have happened, which I do believe at this point happened, with all the contraband coming in, and all the problems that they had before the final problem happened in October, with the sexual assaults of this young girl. Um, they have to have new leadership at this point. They can't That's a failure that just absolutely cannot happen. Sometimes there's the gray areas that happens in corrections, whether it's adult or juvenile, to where maybe it's a use of force incident. And you have to go hands on with somebody, and every time you have a use of force incident, you always review the cameras and review what everybody did, and maybe this person could have done something better. Maybe it got a little bit too aggressive here, and you learn from it, and you try to perfect your craft, as they would say. And that's a gray area, but there's no gray area here. This is black and white. It's a huge line that not only was crossed, should have never even gotten close in the beginning. And the fact that it sounds like, fellow other officers were warning him of these interactions that he was having with this girl. And not to mention, it sounds like, I mean, there's the implication in this that this wasn't the only girl. He was having inappropriate relationships with other females as well, which is why they said that they made the rule to have the body cam on at all times. If you're in a situation where they say you can't be around females, you have to have your body cam all the time. You don't need to be working as an officer in a juvenile detention center. You seem to be gone at that point. You're too much of a liability. This cannot happen. And it really pisses me off because, I've spent so much time in the juvenile correction arena to where there's so many good men and women that work in the industry. Like I said before, it's a thankless job. It's very dangerous. And you do the best you can with the limited resources that you have. And you have someone like this come and do something like this, and then it just takes recording or whatever. But here we go. We're back up. Um, that's when a police officer does something bad. Good police officers need to speak up, and I think that it's the same in corrections too. When a bad corrections officer does something bad, the good ones need to speak up and say this is absolutely unacceptable. Me personally, I've worked in 3 different juvenile detention centers, 2 in Illinois, 1 in Iowa. I've never seen anything close like this to happening. Um, if I ever saw something like that personally happening, that person would probably be drinking or eating their food, eating their dinners through a straw for the next couple months, because it's one of the most grotesque things that you could ever do. The last thing you do is, some juvenile going into juvenile detention, the family's heartbroken because they've done something really bad. Believe me, juveniles, they're not there for status offenses. They are there for usually very serious crimes, just as serious as any adult murder, sexual assault, aggravated assault, things of that nature. They're not sending juvenile detention for skipping school. So they get sent there, and then you have a trusted person that's supposed to be making sure that their juveniles are safe, and then they get sexually assaulted. It's sick. It's gross. Um, on a side note, I'll just add real quick. I did reach out to Mark Young on a messenger, trying to see if he would do an interview. I told him it'd be camera only. That the only way I would do it is if I recorded it. I told him I record it in full, make no edits. But I would be fair, but I'd ask some very pointed questions. He said he was going to talk to his attorney about that. I don't expect he'll do that. He'd be dumb not to. Oh, one other thing that I wanted to say about his court record real quick is that let's see here. It's going to be kind to me. Their site could be going down for the night. It get updates at night. He just had a court hearing today. Not much happened there. I don't even know if he actually appeared himself or it was just as an attorney. But I'm going to go down to the courthouse tomorrow, or at least call them and see if I can't get the court records for it. With a juvenile offender being being the victim here, I'm not sure if they just redact the name and information of that juvenile, or if they're going to actually seal the court documents until the case is over. I don't know. But regardless, I'm going to try to get those some of those court records and at least get the court date for his next court appearance. And I'm going to petition the court since there's so many people that are interested in this in the community is pissed off about this, and I don't blame them. I'm going to petition the court to get cameras in the courtroom for his hearings here on out so that we can record it and put it on YouTube since none of the local media is concerned about it. This is a huge story. This is an absolutely huge story. You have a juvenile detention center sexually assaulting at least one juvenile offender. He had all this misconduct for months. From what I understand, at least I haven't heard, there have been no changes in the administration there at SIADSA. Um, this is absolutely unacceptable. You have to have a change. And where's the local media? Where's the Daily Gate City? Where's the Fort Madison paper? Where are you, WGEM, KHQA TV? You guys are just all missing in action. And why are you not asking tough questions? Why is he only charged with an aggravated misdemeanor with up to 2 years in prison? I don't know. Maybe there is a problem. I haven't done the research into the statutes yet. Maybe there's not any statutes they could charge him with, for a felony up to 10 years. But I seem to remember a big case back in like around 2020 where someone in this area for sexually assaulting a juvenile at a facility got a 10-year sentence under a felony. Now maybe there was different circumstances because of the title or whatever, but I'm gonna look into them more too. And I don't know, maybe there's no way they can charge them with anything heavier. And if that's the case, maybe we need to get with our lawmakers and try to get them to pass a new law to where there's no. I'm sorry, if you're a juvenile detention officer and you sexually assault underage kids. Um, well, I'm not going to say what should happen to them. It would involve a wood chipper, though. But outside of that, they need to be at least a minimum of 10 years. And I'm not talking about cases that maybe they did it, maybe they not. I'm sorry, but if he was taking pictures and recording what he was doing, and they have all this on video, and they have all the phone records, showing just backing up this what this girl said and what the mom said and everything, then and they already had the statements of the other employees saying that he was already doing all this other stuff. Um, I just don't understand. He's got to be in there at least, a minimum of 10 years. It's sick. It's gross. It's disgusting. But I want to get this video out. Like I said, just so many people from the Keokuk area have really been blowing up my phone asking for my opinion on this, wondering why the media is not covering it, wondering for updates. So, most people don't know how to look up court records and stuff like that. Um, it's so I feel their pain, man. But I will continue to stay on this. Make sure everybody blasts this out. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell notification because, when I started this channel, it was a lot about First Amendment auditors. I'm not even going to mess with First Amendment auditors anymore. They bore me. They aggravate me too much. Mainly, it's going to be just covering people like this, and following their cases along and keeping people informed because our media on the local level, and this isn't just a Keokuk, Iowa thing. This is pretty much everywhere now. It's just media just they have no interest in this kind of stuff anymore, and following stuff, and it's really disappointing because you have this guy walking around. Um, like I said, I got the messages from multiple people today that he was at the Southeastern Community College. And it's funny that here in his booking photo here that's on the screen now, he's in a Southeastern Community College t-shirt. and he's back on campus, say, around these young females. I mean, you just can't make this stuff up. But Southeastern Community College is going to know about this tomorrow. I'm going to send them this video. I'm going to send them the link so they can look up the charges themselves, but in the link to the newspaper article and ask them. I'm a graduate from SCC myself before I went to Western Illinois and got my bachelor's from there. So I'm going to ask them as a graduate. I'm assuming that there's got to be a problem with him being on campus at least while these charges are pending. Until this is resolved, he needs to either be doing school remote or he needs to be suspended, one or the other. But he can't be on campus around young females. Can't happen. Anyways, I went in this. We've already been going for about 37 minutes here. Like I said, subscribe, hit the bell notification. I have, I'll put in the description, the last thing, and then I promise we're getting out of here. Last thing is I'm going to put in the description of this channel, the email address for this channel. If anybody wants to help out, like I said, I am buried right now. I work full time, working on my master's degree full time. Just finished my cybersecurity certification, getting that YouTube channel kicked off, and I just don't have time to edit good videos. If somebody's good at editing videos and wants to help out with this, email me, please. If somebody wants to help out, like if I'm not available or whatever on a court date to go in there and record, if we get the court's permission to, if someone's willing to do that, email me. Or if something else pops up and you're in the Kilwick area and want to help out in some way, email me. Want to get a list of people who are willing to step up and help out. Other than that, just blast this video out there. Make as many people come here as possible. I haven't done anything with this channel for a couple of years now. So it's not even monetized anymore. So this isn't even about the money. It's not about that. This YouTube channel's never been about the money. I haven't made a ton of money off it anyways, even when I was monetized, because I did it as a hobby, just for fun. Um, you know, uh, just as a hobby. So it's not something I'm making money off of or anything. But like I said, like, share, subscribe, shoot this out anywhere you can, get the word out. Hit the local areas too, Quincy, Hannibal, Atumwa, Oskaloosa, just Macomb, anywhere in the area. But thanks everybody for your time. I know this is kind of a longer video. I wanted to give my opinion on things. I'm going to do more in-depth follow-up videos on this. But I wanted to let people know exactly where this case is at right now, in that since local media is not going to do anything, they're not going to cover it. We're going to cover it here. And we're going to try to keep the community informed. So make sure you're subscribed to this channel and make sure that